Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
All right, everyone, welcome back, one and all. Thepreparedmind.club, welcome. Subscribestar.com, welcome. X, welcome. YouTube, welcome. Facebook, welcome. These are all Prepared Mind networks that are here live right now. And it's Zoo Hits the Fan. Shit hits the fan indeed, and it's hit the fan. I hope everyone likes the thumbnail for the video. That was done by Kaz, the Italian hillbilly. I thought I would use it just because it's such an interesting picture. I love it when people go, it makes you look like a 80s action figure. I'm like, well, that's actually what I fucking look like when I'm holding a gun and I got a cigar in my mouth. That's real life looking stuff there. AI, folks, at this stage of the game, AI can fool everybody. The voice, the way you look, the way you act. There's so much information on the internet. They can just make us look like someone. Not to mention the weird rubbery masks that they put on now that are incredibly real. They put one of those masks on a freaking robot, like an AI talking robot, and it was weird because you're looking at its face and then the camera rotates around to the back and it's just wires and shit. Anyways, folks, we've got a new world coming, and it'll be both good and bad. It'll be incredible to witness as we go through this, right? Now, if you're, I'm going to say if you're 40 years old or older, you have witnessed the world go from simple machines to simple computers, to incredible computers, the internet, and then incredible advances in communication. And that's where you and I come in. We are now able to communicate in a way we've never been able to communicate in this world in the past. We own communication as long as the masters of the universe stay the hell out of our hair and respect our rights. Do any of you actually think they respect us and our rights? I don't think so, not one iota. Folks, it's Sunday Night Live. Shit has hit the fan. It's a worldwide event. Lots of topics to talk about, whether we're talking about government, taxation, trade, economics, education, military, gangs, the Illuminati, shit hitting the fan. It's an explosive topic that just covers everything. I ended up attending a wedding last night. No, it wasn't my own, but it was a wedding, and someone at the table goes, "John, how's that podcast thing you do going along?" I was like, well, obviously you're not watching it if you have to ask me about it, because it kicks ass, right? We're across so many social media channels. The spectrum is incredibly wide and powerful, and it's your guys' topics. It's your thoughts, what you're saying, what you're thinking. So how do you get on the screen right here? Every Sunday Night Live, we are live for everybody. And thousands and thousands and thousands of people will end up watching this, rebroadcasting it. It's also going to go to BitChute and Rumble, I believe. It'll go everywhere. And it's your show, though. And that's what I love about it. Super chat donations up there. PayPal, Venmo, CashApp are in the description of the video. If you want to get on here live and have your topics, kapow! Thank you there, Jolene. That's right, the Prepared Mother's in the house, along with Uman X, or whatever. He monitors, all the channels at once. So it's really a very complex system we have here. This broadcasting and reaching around the world. And what do we want to start with? Well, I'm going to start with this, and then I'll get into, we got Darcy T has done a super chat. Chin Music has done a super chat. They're lined up and ready, but I want to give more people a chance to get here, get all snuggled in, right? I let everyone on YouTube know about 35 minutes early the show was coming. X doesn't tell anyone. until the show goes live, and same with the others. But be that as it may, we are here now. We're live now. I want your questions now. Well, let's start off with this. The Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, they're looking at cutting their employment by 25%. Now, I don't have the actual number, the total number, but I remember that they were going to increase their employment by 87,000 agents. And we were told they're going to go after billionaires and make sure they pay their fair share. Billionaires have incredible attorneys and accountants. They don't need to have their shit checked. It's checked and double checked. And I'm sure the IRS wouldn't want to waste their time going to court just to get their asses handed to them. So those agents were actually for you and me. But Trump is looking at cutting them 25%. But then someone said, well, wait a minute. The Department of Government Efficiency has uncovered hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens using, that's right, Social Security numbers, the same number that's used to tax us. They should know who they're working for and go find them and kick their asses out of the country, right? In other words, the IRS shouldn't be worried about us Americans. They should be left in the agency and only left there to pursue non-Americans who are committing fraud and criminal actions. Anyways, thank you, Prepared Mother. And guess what we're going to do next? Oh, yeah, by the way, any super chat donation of, I always love that sound, $50 or more, we do a 15-year single malt scotch. And we're going to start with Darcy T. Oh, that's a long way down to the ground there. Darcy T did a $50 PayPal super chat. Here's to you, Darcy. Semper Fi. God bless America. Down the hatch. Let's get this show rolling. Wasn't ready for that one. Now I am. And here we go. Here we go. Wow. Darcy T's question has to do with social media, rumors, and China. So this is what she says. I am hearing some rumors around social media about the actual population of China and how it is now much less than the Chinese Communist Party has been reporting. Like well under 1 billion. Let me stop right there. China was saying their population was 1.4 billion. Now, right, people are speculating it's well under 1 billion. Let's continue with Darcy T's comments and questions and thoughts. She said, people in China are noticing that the cities that used to be bustling with people are relatively empty. And it's the same with the villages in the countryside too. They also are saying on TikTok that people are dying suddenly at younger ages, mostly people born in the 80s and 90s. Sounds familiar. China had a big Jim Jones juice push. So most have been jabbed there. Jabbity jab, right? And she says, wondering if they're trying to hide the alarming reduction in population from the rest of the world. Your thoughts? Let me tell you what my thoughts are. China is run by the Communist Party, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. They lie about everything because they're communists. They are, I don't know if it's more dishonest or if it's more Sun Tzu art of war, right? But it is a communist regime. And when they said, you will go get the Jim Jones juice, the jibbity jab, then you went and got it. There was no question. There was no asking. There was no begging. It was you will or we're going to come get you because they're communists. They're authoritarian. They're totalitarian. They're inflexible with their own people. Yeah, they've arrested and thrown in prison their Chinese Muslim population, the Uyghurs, and just locked their asses up. They don't care. They're communists. They've lied about the amount of gold they have. Gold that they have. Right? There's wild speculation. The United States of America allegedly has the world's most gold, physical gold in reserve, with 8,133 tons of gold. China claims less, but others speculate it is far, far more, as well as their own civilian or just regular people population having probably the same amount as the United States all by itself. Because Asian culture, Chinese culture, like the Indian culture, collects and holds gold to protect their wealth against deflation from overprinting by government. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? So they buy gold when they have any money left over, as well as now silver. So let's get into this just a little bit. It's a great topic because we don't know. China made all of their people get the Jim Jones juice. A few years ago, China said, we've got an overpopulation problem. You can't have any kids. You can have one child. And yeah, you had more than one kid, bad things happen. Bad things happen. So now the people are saying, hey, there's not as many people around here. Streets aren't as busy. They're relatively empty. Villages in the country kind of emptier. Well, all we can do is speculate and keep our ear open, keep the ear to the ground and try and figure this out. China may have realized, whoops, right? They overdid it. Makes me wonder. It really does. It makes me wonder. Now, people saying things on TikTok that people are dying suddenly at younger ages. We have noted that in Europe and North America, right? With heart attacks happening and not 60, 50, and 40-year-olds, but also in their 30s, in their 20s, in their teens, in their preteens, all the way down to babies, literal toddlers dying suddenly of heart attacks, having strokes because, and a stroke, all a stroke is a blood clot in the brain. That's all a stroke is a blood clot in the brain. And the Jim Jones juice, one of its side effects that they've now released, all the side effects, right? One of the side effects is just that, blood clots, which leads to strokes, also causes heart attacks, pulmonary embolisms, aneurysms, that is busted blood vessels. Not to mention, or maybe we should just go through the other symptoms that we talk about, neurological problems, right? Hands, limbs, fingers, eyes, ears, mouth. Shit just stops working. People develop epilepsy. It is an awful, absolutely awful thing. I wouldn't be surprised if someone had medical conditions that arose that the physicians just take them in a back room, shove them out the back door into the back of a meat wagon, and just send them to some disposal factory. I tell you. Anyways, yes, we got PayPal, CashApp, Venmo, but most people, use the super chat button right up there. So let's get this show on the road. We just did a super chat from Darcy T. And oh, by the way, I've also got a cup of deporable coffee from www.cafefe.com, a non-sponsoring sponsor of the show. And there it is right there. It is. We got coffee spelled with one F. I caught it first. Let me finish this up. Cafefe.com is the single most patriotic coffee company I know of in America now. Others may be just as patriotic, but I know that Cafefe is because they sponsor this show, the Prepared Mind channel, or John the Prepared Mind, if you will. They sponsor us, and we are hardcore fact, hardcore prepping, hardcore what the hell is going on. And we want to make this hardcore truth, fact, information, world events, etc., etc., etc. And let's get into it. I've got also Chin Music in the wings. He's got his topic. I wanted to wait till about the half-hour mark for them and give you guys a chance to jump in here as well. I've had one scotch and got another one coming from Chin, so I got that to look forward to. All right, but Jolene says we should start off with at 250 people live. Live, there it is. And folks, share the internet address. You've got to be a subscriber on YouTube to comment and give it a thumbs up, give it a heart, give it a like, give it a rebroadcast. Get people here. We need to have 400 people live. Last week, we just bumped it, which was great. I love it. Okay, Jolene, who's up next? And it's Big Dan the Man Erickson with a $5 super chat donation. And he says, drove by a hands-off rally in Washington State yesterday. There were a few hundred very colorful morons for sure. So what is a hands-off rally? This was Democrat leftists, Democrat communists, right? Antifa, BLM, left-wing lunatic types. And it's hands off of Social Security and hands off of everything that Trump is doing to make America better, safer, great. They want his hands off it. Hands off. They want DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, to stop looking at all the fraud, waste, theft, abuse, graft, bribery, embezzlement, and they want their hands off of that. This is where we're at in this country, folks. This is why you guys being here is so critical. The mainstream media, who are the lapdog mouthpieces of the deep state, and of course they're giving the deep state a new name, they have told all the street level morons like these idiots, and by colorful, I'm sure he meant hair and rainbow shirts, because they're a bunch of rainbow fruitcakes. This is how bad they are. Trump gets elected, says he's going to have Elon Musk and hairy balls and big balls come out and find all of the theft and fraud. And they've done it. And by the way, there's no arrests on that yet, Pam Bondi, but they found all this fraud. And the Democrats are so corrupt. They're so evil. They hate America so much. They hate you. They hate our Constitution. Oh, yeah. They hate the Constitution. They hate it so much that they want fraud, waste, abuse, graft, corruption, extortion, bribery, and embezzlement. And so they're holding a hands-off rally. Get your hands off of their fraudulent institutions, as well as the illegal aliens. They want them here. They want them here. Unbelievable, huh? But no, that's what it's all about. And over the weekend, they bust in everyone they could to Washington, D.C., and of course, all the big cities around the country to try and make it look like, right? Trying to make it look like America's upset with Trump. Give me a fucking break, right? America is not upset with Trump, not in the least. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? What do we got here? Where do we want to go next? Thank you, Mr. Dan the Man. I'm telling you, folks, the violence is coming. It is absolutely coming. We'll get into that more. But thank you, Dan. I want to get to this topic before we get to the next super chat, which is Darcy T. The Attorney General of the United States of America, Pam Bondi. I am absolutely shocked that she went on Fox News Sunday. I can't believe, that I don't like her. I'm pissed at her. I'm disappointed. I'm sick of her going on Fox fucking News. But here's the quote from the show. Quote by Pam Bondi. We've had over 170 lawsuits filed against us, the Trump administration. That should be the constitution. That should be the constitutional crisis right there. I agree. And what she's saying is all the Democrats, all of Washington, all the senators, all the Congress people, all the deep state bureaucrats, all the talking heads on TV are saying Trump is causing a constitutional crisis by enforcing the law, by protecting the border, by getting rid of waste, fraud, abuse, extortion, bribery, embezzlement. They're calling that the constitutional crisis. Now, I do agree with Pam Bondi that the lawsuits are a constitutional crisis. I agree, but listen, you little twit, get off of the TV and go start arresting someone. Anyone that is a big shot Democrat, a big shot lawyer, a big shot financier or banker or former politician, arrest somebody and stop taking credit for local police arresting MS-13. Holy shit. Those are small potatoes compared to the damage that's done to our country by the likes of Hakeem Jeffrey, Jasmine Big Mouth Crockett, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton. You see where I'm going? Those people have authority, and they are doing what? They are absolutely promoting and encouraging and inciting violence. And we're supposed to worry about some MS-13. Oh, they're a problem. They're definitely a problem too. But these courts, like I said, I agree with Pam. The courts are causing a constitutional crisis. So the courts are now causing a complete and powerful rift through America. A very powerful rift. It's tearing the country apart. Now, I want to take you back just about a year or so. Going back to 2 years. The Biden administration. Do you or do you not remember the Supreme Court ruling on Roe v. Wade and the Second Amendment, and the left wing saying, you know what? We need to get rid of the Supreme Court. We don't need it. And now they're happy with lower court federal judges and their rulings. This ball that's being played, this is the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS. Is it a confidence game or a con game? And there's this lie out there that I think I have been living my whole life. I think we all have. The United States of America has. And it's the concept of judicial supremacy. That is to say that the Supreme Court is the official, the authority on everything. Judicial supremacy, as if the Supreme Court is above the presidency in authority, and it's above the legislator in authority. Folks, the Supreme Court is a thief. It has stolen power and it has stolen control through this lie of judicial supremacy. They've taken it from us, we the people, because we the people do not elect, nor do we appoint Supreme Court justices. Those are appointed by the President of the United States. We the people are supposed to control this country through democratic processes known as elections, but executed through a Republican form of government. A republic where law and order, right, is supreme, right? The Supreme Court of the United States and lower federal court judges, the appellate court and lower court judges, they actually don't have the last say. If you remember, let's remember our civics courses. I had to go all the way back to 1983 up here, where I remember hearing this concept called separate but equal branches of government. That's the old rule, that we have the judicial, legislative, and executive branches. They're separate but equal. That's the rule. That's what we were taught. But now they're going with judicial supremacy. So when we examine what's going on now, the only reason that we considered the Supreme Court superior is because we had provided it respect, that these people were nonpartisan. But folks, the Supreme Court of the United States has been provided respect that it no longer deserves or has earned, because the court system, from the lowest court to the appellate courts to the United States Supreme Court, has become 100% weaponized and 100% politicized. And that's the constitutional crisis that Pam Bondi referred to. And I agree with her on that. But she doesn't need to worry about that. There are attorneys that will fight that. And there is court precedent, and there is executive precedent, and there's legislative precedent for putting the court system back in its motherfucking place. We've got one hell of a fight, folks. Shit has hit the fan, not just with the economy, which has been crippled since NAFTA and allowing corporations to leave this country and take their money with them and fire all the American workers. Our country has been crippled, folks, crippled by the economy, the financial system, which allows insider trading now, even amongst our politicians. Our economy has been crippled. The country has been crippled by the open border. Our country has been crippled by other countries taking advantage of us, which Trump is trying to stop with the tariffs. We're going to talk about that here real quick. Shit has hit the fan on so many levels: education, military, higher education, social structure, businesses, the work environment, diversity, equity, inclusion, oversized corporations, international corporations, the aristocracy, the Illuminati, the World Economic Forum. You bet, folks. We got a fucking mess on our hand. The entire system has been weaponized. The entire system is politicized. Don't believe me? Say a word you're not supposed to say at work and see if you don't get fired. Oh, you got freedom of speech. We'll just take your fucking job from you. Ruin your life, ruin your marriage, ruin your family life, everything destroyed. That's what they promise us for stepping up and speaking freely. By the way, we are kicking ass. We're at 321 people live right now. Share the internet address, hit the share button down below, write, text, call, email your friends, family, and even people you fucking hate, and tell them, hey, why don't you come and listen to this? We're going to talk about some facts. Like the Supreme Court has overstepped its bounds. The lower court, now when I say the Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Roberts authorized the FISA courts to investigate us and Trump illegally. No crimes have been committed, but let's just start snooping on everyone. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And let's see. Chief Justice John Roberts has been hanging out with a complete and total political hack. He belongs to a secret judicial group that is comprised of absolute scumbag leftists. And these lower courts are not being reined in by the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice could put an end to this shit right now and tell Article 3 judges, the judiciary, stay the fuck out of Article 2, presidential authority. And the president can tell them, go pound sand. You don't tell me what to do. You go work on something else that's in your jurisdiction. You have no authority over what the president does with the executive branch of the government. We're about to have that conversation. Earlier this week, actually it's Sunday, it's the first day of the week. Last week on Friday, it was reported, I think the leak was allowed to come out of the White House. A staffer, somebody within the White House and the Trump administration, let the media know that Trump literally is all out of fucks to give. He's had enough of the bullshit. Good. 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 I want Trump pissed off. I want him to come out and start making serious moves. The way he did when he came out the gate the day of and the day after and the next day, the first few days, the first couple of weeks of his second term presidency, he kicked everyone's ass. Right? And then we got the holdup by the Senate, the U.S. Senate, piece of shit Senate with piece of shit leadership. We got piece of shit leadership and piece of shit Republican House. They aren't passing any legislation that's pro-Make America Great Again, pro-America First, pro-Trump, or pro-you and I. Haven't done a fucking thing. Anyways, the Supreme Court and the court system is basically losing respect of the American people. Period. Absolutely, period. Well, we're at 30 minutes in, actually 31 minutes and 33 seconds. And it is time for Chin Music and his. What did he do? He did a super chat through Venmo, $55.56 super chat donation, and the bottle is back. 15 years single malt scotch. Poured it a little tall. I guess I'll have to drink that. And we still got a hefty half a bottle. So got a little too much sun this weekend. Here's to you, Chin. Here's to you, patriots and Americans, veterans and constitutionalists. Down the hatch, Semper Fi, Prost, Salud, cheers, and good. Yes, sir. Smooth, 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 like mother's milk. So here's what Chin Music wants to talk about. He says, I support the tariffs, but I do have legitimate concerns. So he's got a list of concerns here. I'm going to read them and answer them as we go. He says he's got legitimate concerns. He says, with respect to the tariffs, they may be too broad. I'm not sure how it makes sense to target things we don't even produce. Well, I think what Trump is doing is he is casting a wide net. He is tariffing the shit out of everything in response to how other countries tariff us. They tariff us 100% more, 50% more, sometimes 1,000, 10 times, 20 times more tariffed. Right? If we do this much, they do this much. And so in order to get tariffs down on everything, he's tariffing everything. It's a negotiating tactic. So I agree. Yeah, the tariffs are expansive and punishing at the same time. At the same time, I think he's really been probably too fair in a way. And we'll address this more if you talk about it in your further comments. But Trump has promised every country that we're going to tariff them 50% of what they're doing to show them we're still only doing half of what you're doing and you're throwing a fucking fit. Tariffs are bad, but tariffs for you are good. Tariffs that enrich your company or country, but tax us, that's fine. All right, now let's continue with Chin Music's topic. Great topic because it is all over the news. These worldwide tariffs. So number 2, Chin Music says, we don't have the manufacturing capacity online right now to start things that will no doubt go up in cost. That is correct. We don't have the manufacturing capacity. So if some country says, you know what, fuck you, United States of America, we're going to cut you off. What if Indonesia did that? What if India did that? What if China did that? What if Vietnam did that? What if Japan, South Korea did that? Then we have to suffer with having no little gadgets or doodads or things. But we'll just go to another country and say, would you like to produce that for us as well? So, yes, while we, the United States of America, can't produce everything because our factories literally closed up. They took all of the expensive equipment, machining, processes, shipped it to China, Indonesia, India, South Korea, and other places where there's cheap labor and cheap raw materials. Interesting, huh? Thank you, NAFTA. Thank you, George H.W. Bush. Thank you, Bill Clinton. Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, George W. Bush. Thank you, Obama. Trump is trying to drive businesses back, right? And it's working. This is the incredible thing. It's already working, right? Trump has got, I think, $6 trillion, trillion with a T, $6 trillion in promises, not from us, the taxpayer, but from other nations. They have promised, lots of them, different varying amounts of money to the United States to come here and build and rebuild and expand American industrial manufacturing capacity, the very thing you talk about. But yes, you are correct. It will not instantly happen. But let me say this. How long does it take to get equipment over here? A couple of weeks? How long would it take to manufacture the manufacturing equipment elsewhere to get it here if it's coming from overseas? A couple weeks to a month? So we're looking at literally anywhere from 2 months to, of course, 2 years. I'll give it the long shot and long look as well. But understand this. I'm going to call back to cerveza bug and people being hospitalized. And they came up with this idea of putting people on ventilation machines to save them, while that turned out to be the best way to kill them while in the hospital. Everyone who came in, you've got cerveza bug. Everyone who came in that was sick, old, weak immune systems, put them on ventilators and fucking killed them. Now, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands died on the ventilations machine. I have to be careful the way I discuss this. But understand this, folks. You remember those ventilation machines? You remember who manufactured them? How quickly they started manufacturing them? First off, it took about 1 week. 1 fucking week. Because we're like, where are we going to get all the ventilation machines from? Where are we going to get them? A week later, they got fucking busloads of them. Ford Motor Company, General Motors managed to retool and start manufacturing ventilation machines. They make fucking cars, folks. Cars, frames, pieces, differentials, transmissions, engines. They had to come up with the raw material, right? Sheet steel to run through benders, to create the boxes, the outside case. That means they had to have engineering plans, retooling, re-equipping, and raw material, not just raw materials, but finished materials, wiring, electronics, fucking plastics for the ventilation tubes and all the gadgets and gizmos. They managed to do that in about a fucking week. No more than 2 fucking weeks. And then guess what? They had so many ventilation machines and not enough sick people. The fucking ventilation machines were sitting in boxes in fucking warehouses that the government paid for that weren't ever used. So number 2 that Chin Music brought up, very important point, manufacturing capacity. But we do have the ability to move very, very fast also. So number 3, says Chin Music, the timing of this. He says, you and I, and he's talking to me, but I think he's talking to all of us. You and I both know the economy is nowhere near as stable as they've been reporting the last couple of years in an effort to prop up Joe Biden, the Biden administration. I agree 100%, Chin, 100%. No doubts. They have been hiding the problems, propping it up. And I'll take you all the way back to September of 2019. When the overnight repo market failed. No bank wanted to loan any other bank any money. They're like, the fuck we will, because we may not get it back because banks are crashing. Behind the scenes, we're still there. In fact, we're back. But the problem goes all the way back to what? The Obama administration. It goes all the way back to the Bush administration when we had Benjamin Shlomo Bernanke lie to us and tell us the subprime contagion is contained. Everything's safe, folks. The next fucking week, everything crashes. You can go back faster than that if you want. You can go back to the dot-com bubble. The crazy amount of, shall we say, investment exuberance of the dot-com world. And where did all that cash come from? Alan Greenspan. That's right. Who was in office as the Federal Reserve chairman, who started lowering interest rates, making it cheap and easy to borrow money, and then just shoot it into the Wall Street and start pumping up the economy, pumping up the investment world. Wall Street is not Main Street. So anyways, let's get back to Chin Music. Everything's not as stable as they've been reporting. No, they've been lying. They pump money in. They lie. They're good at lying, folks. The government, the Federal Reserve, they lie like crazy. So Chin continues. He says, I'm not sure how much pressure it can take and for how long. But this I do know. The economy has an illness similar to food poisoning, and the only way to cleanse it is to take antibiotics and let the toxins fly out both ends, this end and the one down south. He said, graphic but true. He continues, this problem was papered over in 2008, and he is absolutely talking about that with TARP, the Troubled Asset Troubled Asset Recovery Program, some shit like that, where the government gave out almost $1 trillion. Back then, that was incredible amount of cash just to throw at banks and bail them out. That was the first paper, and then came hyperinflationary money printing, which they called quantitative easing, when the Federal Reserve, at the behest of the government, just started throwing money at the banks for loans, thinking that, well, if we give them all this money, people will borrow it and start buying cars and buying houses and buying this and buying that, and it'll juice the economy. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. So yeah, we have food poisoning. They had to cleanse and get rid of all the toxins in the system. So Chin Music says the problem was papered over in 2008, and we've been addicted to zero interest rates and cheap money since then. Not we, my friend, the banks. They're the ones who got super low interest, close to 0% interest. I got a credit card offer. I got a personal loan offer that said you can get interest rate as low as 9% up to 29.99% interest. Why the fuck isn't that usury? Can you imagine just a regular person getting a $100,000 loan at 30%? You're going to pay $30,000 in interest a year. Well, 12, that's $2,500 a month in interest alone on $100,000. What the fuck are you going to do with that, right? That's what we pay. Banks, they pay 3, 4, 2% for the money they borrow from the Federal Reserve, and then they turn around and loan it to you at 12, 15, 18, 25%, all the way up into the 30s. I think the worst offer I've ever got is like 32.5%. And I don't take any of them up on their fucking offer. I've had one card with my bank, which I have been at since, I think, 1996. So we're looking at 30 years. Never missed a payment on any loan. Never been overdrawn. And they charge me 15% to use my credit card. And my fucking credit score, folks, even though I don't make a ton of money, I don't have tons of loans. I just don't. Why? Fucking live in a bunker. They charge me that with a 810 credit score. It's crazy shit. So cheap money since then, since Chin Music, he says that addiction, the cheap money, is going to take serious withdrawals to beat, but if we don't, we all know where we are headed. I'm just a sports coach and self-defense coach, but I'm disciplined enough to pay attention to what matters. And I think on here on the Prepared Mind channel, the Prepared Mind Network, the Patriot Network, I think we're all paying attention to what matters, even though some of us know more about certain things. Chin says, I predicted all of this. And I think a lot of us have. If not predicted, we anticipated. He says they can't keep this up indefinitely, but they could enough to make sure the right person takes the blame. Democrats are evil, not stupid, says signed Chin Music. Now, Democrats on the street are pretty fucking stupid. They are. The rainbow crowd, the hands-off crowd, the pro-Palestinian Hamas crowd, all of the Democrats on the street are pretty fucking stupid. They can't think for themselves. The man on the street, reporters and interviewers ask him, what are you protesting? They have to pull out their little piece of paper they were given, and they're paid to try and read an answer, and they're still not intelligent or coherent. They aren't. But when it comes to the people in charge, is Jasmine Crockett really as stupid as she sounds? Or is she just following the playbook and sounding like a piece of ghetto trash? In her case, I actually think she's probably well educated. That doesn't make her intelligent. And she knows how to follow orders, which doesn't make her intelligent. Because what is she doing? She's promoting and inciting violence. She is doing a divide and conquer move by pitting black people and the black community against the black Republicans and the brown Republicans and the white Republicans and the Asian Republicans. When it comes to colors, do we say yellow anymore? I can't fucking remember. There's too many colors. They want the rainbow in there. Anyways, it's some of the Democrats are stupid in office. Hakeem Jeffries is a pretty stupid motherfucker. AOC is retarded, absolutely. Jasmine Crockett acts retarded. Ilhan Omar acts retarded, and I'm sure she actually is retarded. She's a right, but the people on the street really are. Now, you get up to the higher levels. I'm going to name the name here that I think is very much responsible for executing as well as planning the coup d'etat and the destruction of this country, Susan Rice. I think she was the brains behind the Obama administration's attack on our republic. Hillary Clinton is smart and evil. But I think the real brains are the people on Wall Street. Look how they've taken over BlackRock, Vanguard, and pushed environmental social governments on corporations to be less white, right, and go after guns and everything else that they've done through the commercial business aspect. And then the investment side, they go to other companies, BlackRock and Vanguard and large investment firms, and say, you'll do our diversity, equity, and inclusion program, or we're going to dump your stock. Whoops. Yeah, they played their hands, folks. We know who they are. They are evil, and they're smart enough to figure out how to also prop up Wall Street, prop up the economy to keep it going with this cheap money and money printing. And they did, as Chin says here, they can't keep it up indefinitely, but they could enough to make sure the right person takes the blame. And that would be President Donald Trump. He gets into office, he starts executing his plan, and they're like, oh, whoa. We can't have that, Monsieur Trump. And they're pushing all the blame onto him. Isn't it fascinating how he says we want tariffs, and the next fucking day they crash the market. And the day after they crash it even more, even bigger. They had a 1,400 down Dow day, and then they had a 2,100, almost 2,100 down the second day. Huge drops. Now, what has Trump's tariffs done? No one's paid a fucking tariff one in tax. How can the economy be hurt already? How can Wall Street be hurt on it? No one has paid a fucking penny yet, but instantly they drop. It was intentional. It was planned. That's your evil Democrats in powerful places. The big shots at Vanguard, at BlackRock, at Goldman Sachs, at JP Morgan, at Wells Fargo, at Bank of America, all the big banks, major banks, investment firms, simultaneously dumping everything they can. Yep. It's part of a very well orchestrated program. And then you go up to, well, who owns these banks that own and control the financiers? The European aristocracy and trillionaires. Yeah, I said trillionaires. There's trillionaires, folks. There's trillionaires. Not just billionaires, trillionaires. You got the World Economic Forum. They all have their evil fucking hands in this mess. Anyways, great topic. And oh, by the way, the White House has said today, over the weekend, at least 50 different major trading partners with the United States of America have called up Trump on the phone and said, we want to talk. We want to talk. We want to drop our tariffs. We don't want you to tariff us the way you say you're going to. Are we going to get a huge rebound tomorrow in the stock market? I fucking doubt it. It's possible. What do I know? I'm not in charge. But I doubt it because they needed this to blame Trump. But what is he doing? Companies, yes, they want to send $6 trillion to the United States of America. They want to send back equipment, machinery. They want factories here with their company's name on it producing inside our country. That will re-industrialize the United States of America. It will bring back good-paying jobs to American people, which in turn will keep our money in our country and not going out of the country to support China, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea, etc. Right? Manufacturing industry, right? Employment and wealth not leaving this country. Whenever we send dollars out of the country, what do we have to spend here? Well, the Treasury just goes to the Federal Reserve and says, why don't you print up some more of that fake money for us and cause more international inflation? Trump does want a weaker dollar, though, but we'll talk about that more later. Thank you, Chin Music, for the great $55.56 super chat donation. And now we're going to move on to, that was a big ass topic right there. And we're at 400 plus people live. Thank you, everyone. Pow, bam. I love it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, you got to wait 5 minutes and then you can get in the comment section on YouTube. But on X, click the video, comment. Your comments, folks, help other people see this is not just me sitting in studio talking. You guys are driving this show. Sunday Night Live, The Zoo is your show. So, Jolene, let's show it to him. Who's up next? And it is Ooman. He says in the 90s. That's to be the 1990s. That was a century ago. My father's company and 4 to 5 competitors in the Chicago area produced a majority of the computer chassis, meaning the boxes that computers come in. Clinton opened the door to China, and by 2000, the year 2000, they were all being made there in China. It took 10 to 20 years to lose that manufacturing capability and capacity. It'll take twice as long to get it back. Well, the tariffs are going to drive it back. I really don't know how long, because right now, Trump's tariffs on metals, that is to say, finished metallic products, right? Obviously, gold and silver don't have tariffs on them. I think there's none on copper, none on steel, none on aluminum. Or wait, no, there are some metals that are being tariffed. I think steel is a big one because the United States of America can produce its own raw materials and refining and finished material production. It is going to take some time, but it's being incentivized by allowing these companies to come here. And we can use American aluminum, American steel in our own processes, which is American mining. Another thing the United States of America can't afford is to allow companies or countries like China, which has now got they they just cut off some strategic minerals known as rare earths. China owns literally 95% of rare earth production capacity on the planet. We need to fix that shit. We need to fix uranium mining. We need to fix steel, aluminum. Everything we use needs to come from America, so that if some other country wants to start a trade war or punish us, they can't. So we need at least a domestic source as well as other countries. So opening up mines and getting through the mining regulatory bullshit with the EPA and EPA, NEPA, and also CEQA, State Environmental Protection Agency stuff. It's going to take time. So Trump is streamlining and cutting the red tape bullshit to get mining restarted. Mining is United States production and keeping the money in the country to buy United States materials. Mining jobs, mining equipment, big mining equipment comes from America, namely Caterpillar, but we also have Komatsu and other companies out of Asian nations. It's going to be interesting. It could take twice as long, man, or it could be twice as fast. It depends on, shall we say, capital investment. How much money is going to be spent to reindustrialize America, and how quick? Like I said, 6 trillion, was that 6 trillion over the next year? 6 trillion over 3 or 10 years? Who knows? We're going to find out. And like Chin Music said, we've got food poisoning in our system, right? We're going to be puking and shitting problems until it's all cleared out and the system is fixed. Anyways, let us continue. Who's next in the world of super chats? And we got Boomer with a $20 super chat donation. And we're now at 425 people live. Keep it up. Keep the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and share. Get people here to wake up. Boomer says about 30% of America is anti-Trump. It's actually 25% or less is anti-Trump. Wait a minute. No, I apologize. You're probably right. Democrat support is down below 25% now. As far as anti-Trump, 30% of America is anti-Trump. And if 1% of that has Trump derangement syndrome, that might be over 900,000 Americans. That's a high number of lunatics on a rampage. You ain't shitting, man. Let's just round it up to a cool million, right? If 1% of the Democrats in this 30%, a million. A fucking million lunatic screwballs. Now, they are lunatics, no doubt, Boomer. But the question is, are they in physical condition to do anything about it? Great question. Are they in a physical condition to do anything about it? If you noticed, in many places, the protesters it looks like, literally, it looks like they're having field trips from the retirement homes. They're dragging out all kinds of geriatric people in wheelchairs, no less, walkers, to come to these protests. They probably think they're going to, okay, we're going to go get some ice cream, everybody. Come and get on the bus, right? And they're like, why are we holding these signs? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. But you're correct. You are absolutely correct. There's about 1 million of these people with TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. There is also EDS, Elon Trump syndrome, right? The TDS could also be Tesla derangement syndrome. We also have VDS. It's not venereal disease syndrome. That would be Vance, as in the vice president, derangement syndrome. Now, it's my understanding. You're going to love this. About 25% of Democrats, this is being alleged. Statistically, 25% of Democrats are on some form of antidepressant. You know what that tells me? 75% of Democrats are not being treated for their mental illness. Yeah, because and to be a fucking Democrat today and support what's going on with the Democrat Party, you need some medication. You are fucked in the head if you don't have a problem with killing babies, allowing the border to be unprotected, inviting in and demanding also that gangs from third world shitholes be returned to this country, that you want lunatic fruitcake, fishnet wearing, lipstick wearing men pretending to be women in the military, and having communist teachers and professors in colleges and schools, and school boards allowing homosexual pornography and both transgender and drag queens teaching children, not to mention the pride parades. They give them a whole fucking month to run around with their dicks hanging out, waving them at children and saying, trans children, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. In other words, yeah, these Democrats need medication. Now, the interesting thing is also, and while I say that tongue in cheek, they are fucked in the head, no doubt. And there is no medication that can help them. They are lost souls, in my opinion. You, my friends, need to be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and your means of self-defense. All combined in your plan for the 10-mile radius that you live in the middle of, because those people are all around us. I live in a nice Republican area, but there are still 4 out of 10 people are Democrats. And 1 out of 4 of them absolutely support the Democrat stupidity. The other 3 out of the 10 basically support it and will do anything they're told. I don't know what percentage are complete lunatics with Trump derangement syndrome, but yeah, 1 million of them around the country can cause a lot of trouble. People like Antifa, they just want to destroy America. They don't care what the reason is. They'll accept any reason to riot, loot, burn, or burn, loot, and murder. BLM, that's their initials, right? Antifa's all for it. And now we have Islamic fuckheads everywhere. The pro-Islamist jihad Joes. The pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah terrorists. And who loves them? And who wants them here? And who is promoting and inciting violence? The Democrat leadership in Washington, D.C., in the state houses and governor's mansions, as well as the mainstream media. Are you prepared, folks? Because chance favors the prepared mind. Boomer, great topic. Thank you for the $20 super chat donation. And now we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next super chat. And we just about tagged 450 people live. That's great, folks, because the more we get on here live at once, the more it tells YouTube, the more it tells Facebook, the more it tells X. People like what they're seeing. So thumbs up or give the heart, whatever it takes. Share, share, share. It messes with their algorithms. It absolutely does. Jolene Uman. We've got Dan the Man Erickson back in the house with another $5 super chat. And he says this: if they, meaning American and foreign corporations, because American and foreign corporations have been producing and manufacturing in other countries, if they move the factories here to the United States of America, they will still be sending dollars back to their country, right? The answer is absolutely 100% yes. Yes. The same way if you're Honduran, Guatemalan, El Salvadorian, Panamanian, Mexican, Colombian, Costa Rican, Ecuadorian, those people that come to this country, also Cuba, right? Puerto Rican, other countries, they send their people here. They get proper green cards. They come in here legally. They make a bunch of money working in mostly construction and agriculture, right? Skilled labor. They take what they can to live here and they send the rest back to their country. But what do? What do? They produce wealth. They produce wealth. Now, if these factories come here, they're producing wealth in this country and they're paying income tax to the federal government because they're corporations. They're employing Americans. They're employing Americans now. That part of the money, the labor stays here. And if they are incentivized through tariffs to use American mined, American refined, American improved product, raw materials, once again, America, 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 jobs, 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 corporate taxes, and well, hopefully they get rid of all income taxes. So you're absolutely correct. They will take, like our labor that comes here, any money that's left over and they want to, they'll send that back to their country. Sure. Or if incentivized, and the government has the ability to do this, the authority, they'll incentivize them. Hey, you made all that money. You can pay us a lot of tax, or you can reinvest your money into America and American corporations through what's known as capital expenditure. And that comes off of top line revenue. So by the time you get to the bottom line, where you've got your net gross adjusted income, right? They can shrink that by reinvesting in American real estate to put more factories on or more corporations that they start manufacturing here. Do you see what I'm saying? So yes, the more they're incentivized to keep their money here to reduce their taxes, they'll probably do that. But yes, definitely, they'll be sending money back. But instead of this much, they'll only be sending this much. That money will stay in America. And the more that stays here, the better off you and I are. How did China? And Dan, I know that was just a great fucking question because it leads me to this. I want to talk to you guys. Shit is hit the fan economically, financially. In all ways, America's shit is at the fan because they've absolutely decimated our production, mining, and capacity. Itchy mustache. I need to trim it. Get a little bushy. How to go, where to go next on this? China was tiny before the United States government allowed corporations to leave. And by allowing them to leave, it created a monster out of China. It went from being this big to this big. It went from being just another country to the fucking 900-pound gorilla, sitting not in a corner, but in the middle of the room. We created a powerhouse of an economy that is as big as America, if not bigger, at this point. So, quite literally, right, if we take that back, if we get these companies to come back, we reindustrialize America and we move past China again. And a lot of it being taken out of China will shrink China. Very interesting stuff. Now, great topics. Shit has hit the fan. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know that right now, Darcy T sent a $50 Venmo super chat, which means I get another drink. And this is the topic she chose. John needs another belt of scotch. That's what she wrote. Thank you, Darcy T, for taking care of me and taking care of all of us and making sure the prepared mind lights stay on. Scotch in the pantry along with the Spam and tuna fish and also powdered vegetables and other preparatory items. Thank you, Darcy T, very much. Semper Fi, and yes, God bless America. I'm tuned up now. Woo! Okay, now here, this is important. Trump is reindustrializing America. He's not rewarding our economic and, shall we say, military competitors. We just need fucking arrests made. Period. Period. We need arrests made in this country. But while we're talking about allies and enemies, there is a dystopian nightmare developing in Europe and especially the United Kingdom. Women are being arrested for posting on X and social media, while rapists are being let go with probation, deferred penalty, no jail time, 30-day jail time. White British people who object to what's going on, the destruction, the absolute looting of their social benefit system, because it's being given away to illegals. They're giving out two-year sentences for upsetting people with their tweets. But get this, a pro-life activist was convicted for standing outside of an abortion clinic. And the U.S. State Department, meaning the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and also the Vice President Vance, say that they're being so unreasonable. The crackdown on free speech is so authoritarian, dystopian, just absolute totalitarian, Nazi-like, that we are going to have, quote, diplomatic implications. And I really want, and folks, I've said, if you fuck up, I criticize you. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or anyone. I don't care if you're a priest or a reverend or a private citizen. You fuck up, I criticize you. You do a good job, I'll change my mind about you. That's why Marge Taylor Greene is once again Big Marge, because she's criticizing the shit out of not MAGA Mike Johnson, but maggot Mike, the Republican Johnson, Speaker of the House, who's been an absolute piece of shit and done nothing for you and me. But Marco Rubio, who I considered a rhino Republican, I want to commend. Our Secretary of State is kicking ass. Over the weekend, he announced, if you're one of these pro-Hamas people, I think he fucking revoked their visas and school travel permits, and he's kicking them out by the thousands. He's pulling their visas and kicking them out of the fucking country. These aren't the illegal aliens. These are people that were allowed in, but they support Hamas. They support Palestine. They support Hezbollah. They support terrorism. He's kicking them the fuck out. Good. And criticizing the United Kingdom and the European Union. Not Europeans as people. I love European people, as long as they're not communists and socialists. But Europe is proving to become no longer an ally of America. They're moving more to and past neutral and heading to the enemy side. We need to get out of NATO. We need to get out of the United Nations because they no longer represent anything that makes any sense. It's completely inconsistent with freedom, liberty, and the American way. Period. Right? We need to make America great again. You bet we do. So that was that's all I got to say about that. Anyways, Darcy T, thank you for the great super chat donation, and of course the scotch, and keeping me tuned up as we go. Folks, we're getting very close to 500 people live. Right? 500 people live is what we love to see. We've cleared 400 and just topped 460. Let's keep it going. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share the internet address, text, email, doesn't matter. Share, because it tells these stupid social media companies, and they are stupid, that this topic and these topics we discuss are wanted, needed, and beneficial for the United States of America and our allies, the free peoples of Canada, Australia, Ireland, England, Scotland, and of course, even the Netherlands and France and Spain, right? And Germany. We used to have people able to talk to us and join us. Rami Marsh has been the most active, but even Raimi has dropped off the board here and there. And I guess I should stop using names because Europe is far more dangerous than America at this time. Between Antifa and Jihad Joe over in Europe, it's a very, very dangerous place. Anyways, let us continue, if we shall, with all of the great topics we've got. And we have a lot of great topics, folks. I want to step up with the topic here. I just saw it in my list. It's very important. It has to do with fighting the bad guys. If you've got something to say, folks, you want to join the conversation, I'll make you famous. Hit that super chat button right up there, and I'll get you on the screen right down here. You guys, this is your show. You get to decide, and your super chat donations, again, keep the lights on and the scotch flowing. But this topic, folks, when it comes to politics, I have heroes. Right? Heroes of old, philosophers. They're not really politicians. They're statesmen. They're philosophers. They're great thinkers. People like George Washington. People like Sam Adams. People like Thomas Paine. Right? People who are famous for quotations or actions like Ethan Allen. Look them up. These are great men. Other men that came along that were great Americans, like Andrew Jackson, who kicked the ever-loving shit out of the English in the War of 1812, and who became a great president and destroyed the banking system that was not an American bank. It was a foreign bank trying to control our country. Other great Americans like Teddy Roosevelt did some great things. No one's perfect. I'm sorry, Uman just sent something. We'll get to the last let's bring that comment back up here in a moment. Okay, gotcha. Okay, let's continue. Other great Americans, philosophical heroes, right? Ronald Reagan was incredible in that he could talk to the American people. His nickname was the Great Communicator, right? He could communicate on a philosophical and political level in such a way that people could understand the process and the threats. By the way, Joe McCarthy, who's famous for his anti-communist McCarthyism, looks like he was right. These socialists have infiltrated our country, the government, the military, our education system, finance, and have tried fucking us over. And here we are today. The great thinkers of the time are a little bit rougher around the edges. They actually are going back to revolutionary times where there were things like, I have not yet begun to fight. It's a quote from the great John Paul Jones. Right? Give me liberty or give me death. Right? Stuff like that. And back then, it was a very churchy country. Very churchy, Christian and deist, meaning they believed in God and worshiped God, not the devil like they do today. The Democrats are the cult of evil and death. But back then, they preached revolution, freedom, and philosophical ideas from the pulpit, from the churches. Well, today, like I said, we're a little bit rough. But I want to talk about one of my heroes here, Peter Navarro. He shouted down the evil elf, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Doom. And this is what he said about Trump's tariffs in defense of them. This kind of plays back on what we've been talking about. Here it is. We've given away our houses, our office buildings, our food supply, our farmland. Because Peter Navarro shouted down Dr. Doom in a cabinet meeting at the White House. He got tired of his bullshit, tired of his lies, tired of his fear mongering and his fear porn in the White House. and he shouted him down and told him to shut the hell up, right? That made me like Peter Navarro. Now he is absolutely correct. We, meaning the United States government, not me and you, giving away our housing to BlackRock, who's trying to buy everything up, which is funded and controlled by international corporations, banks, and aristocracy. Our office buildings, our food supply, our farmland, it's being taken and given away. We, the United States of America, as a country, as businesses and corporations, and as people, cannot own a single square inch of Chinese dirt. But China is buying farmland. China is buying businesses, property in America. It should be taken from them, period. Taken from them, period. You don't get to own our land. We don't get to own yours. Right? Everything has to be reciprocal. And if it's not reciprocated, you lose. So I say that if Peter believes this, if he says this, I don't believe he's lying. I believe he's telling the truth. Right? That, yeah, the government has given away the country. And remember, Peter Navarro was also arrested by Joe Biden and the Democrat FBI, deep state, Stasi, Nazi, Gestapo police. The same scum that are now obstructing Trump in the Department of Justice everywhere they can. We need people like Peter Navarro and General Flynn involved in our government. We need to get rid of losers and weaklings who won't do what they said they're going to do, who fucking lied to us and are still lying to us and bullshitting us. The deep state is in DC. It is powerful. And they are not concerned with Trump's agenda or obeying the Constitution. They're concerned with obstructing it, whether it's in the bureaucracy, in the House and the Senate, or within the judicial system. Remember, Chief Justice John Roberts of the Supreme Court of the United States has the authority and should rein in his judges, the judiciary, and he hasn't. The same name, John Roberts, showed up on Epstein's Lolita Express airplane. Right. Mystery solved. He should resign in disgrace and pray he isn't tried for insurrection, insubordination, failure, absolute failure to live up to his oath, subversion, if not outright fucking treason, as well as being a potential child molesting, perverted son of a bitch. Allegedly. That's what I got to say about him. Anyways, folks, support those who are doing good things, criticize those who are not. This show has been incredibly powerful and it's flying by. I've had 3 scotches. I'm feeling pretty good. We need more people live, so share the internet address and hit the share button down below if that works for you. Text it, phone call if you have to, email friends and family and say, get on the ball, wake up. This week is going to be nasty. The Dow or other index could fall, I don't know, another 3%, another 5%. They could fall 10%. They could rebound and recover 3 or 5%. I don't know. All I know is we are in a world of hurt. A world of hurt. Let's do this. Let's have some more fun with your questions. Jolene, do we have another super chat out there? The answer is yes, we do. And it's Dan the Man Erickson, this time with a $10 super chat donation. And he says, hey, Trump campaigned on exactly what he would do. Be patient. It's hard to be patient, Dan. It is. But I appreciate you reminding me you got to be patient. But it's hard to be patient because I like taking action, right? If you see someone getting mugged on the street, some people will watch, some people will run, some people will call the police, and other people will jump in there and kick the ever-loving shit out of the bad guy. Taking action. Some people are men and women of action and others are not. I'm a man of action. I know they have the evidence. But I'm going to continue with what you're saying here. He says, be patient. Trump is playing 3D chess, and the Make America Great Again machine is just lined up for future greatness. It's not going to happen overnight. I agree with you. I understand. I understand completely. What I do not want, Dan, is for people to become complacent. I don't want people to buy the QAnon, it's all happening. Trust the plan. Go with the plan. Where we go one, we go all. Believe me. Look at this. He said something. So let's decode it with our little orphan Annie decoder ring. I don't want that. I want people to remain engaged up here and engaged by writing, texting, calling, emailing Washington, D.C. and telling them, make it fucking happen. Make arrests. Tell us the truth. Expose the evil. Right? Get the bad guys in Congress. Get the bad guys in the bureaucracy. Kick the bad judges out. All of it. Right? I want them to continue to feel the heat coming from you and me, us, the voters, the taxpayers, the Americans, the real American patriots. Right? I know Dan Bongino came out with a tweet today on X, reminding everyone it takes time. It takes time. You know why he came out and said that? Because you and I and people like us are texting him and sending him messages saying, fucking do it. Stop telling us what you're going to do. Do it. Stop slow walking this shit. Get it done. And I want Trump to get vicious, folks, vicious. I want Trump to get vicious. Tom Homan is doing his job, but he's not vicious with these illegals who are running drugs into the country. These illegals are kidnapping women and children. These illegals are beating up people, setting up protection networks. They're mobsters. They're gangsters. They're scum. They're bringing pedophiles into this country who are raping women, raping girls, raping children. Vicious is the response they should get. They're lucky to be fucking caught, put on a plane, and sent to El Salvador. In my opinion, they're lucky. Because I think that the punishments should be far more harsh. I don't like them. We send C-5 cargo military jets around the world with our men and women on them, our Marines, our soldiers, to foreign lands to fight for freedom and liberty. While at home, these fucking people are raping, robbing, murdering, stealing, bringing in drugs, killing children, and nothing's being done. Why isn't Fauci fucking arrested? We don't have enough evidence. Oh, by the way, did you know Anthony Fauci? Did you know Anthony Fauci is a wanted man in well over a dozen countries? Arrest warrant. He is a criminal to them for crimes against their people. Medical fraud, negligence, etc., etc., etc. But Dan, I really do appreciate it. I understand completely. I'm trying to be patient. But I do not want the American people to go to sleep and think, oh, it's all being handled. I don't have to worry about it. Look at all of these left-wingers that are out this weekend. They're being paid. They want riots. They are getting geared up for violence, like in 2020, now that Trump is president again. And where are the good Americans? They're cheating in fucking elections again. In Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in North Carolina, in Arizona. And we've got the goods. They've got the information on the fucking cheating. Okay, don't arrest Hillary this week. Arrest Governor Katie fucking Hobbs out of Arizona because she is complicit. She is a part of it. Not to mention the supporting of pedophilia with her and her family. Tampon Timmy Walls. They've got the goods on them. Fucking arrest them. Yeah, that's not Obama. It's not Hillary. It's not Hakeem Jeffries. It's not Mad Maxine Waters. It's not them. But hell, there's still big fish. Arrest them. You see, people are going asleep. They're like, we don't need to go out and protest. We don't need to go out and have a, if you don't want to call it a protest, call it a rally, right? Where's the rallying Americans? They're all like, well, I voted. Oh, Trump is in office. I don't have to worry about shit now. We all need to keep the heat turned up. Turn up the fucking heat. Anyways, Dan, you are absolutely right. We need to be patient on the one hand, but we need to keep supporting and prompting those in power with the authority to fix things so that we don't have to. Because if they fail, you, Mr. Erickson, are going to be investing your precious metals that are made of lead, copper, brass, and cold blue steel. And I don't want you and I to have to do that. I don't want us on the streets kung fu fighting, if you catch my drift. Right? When it can be taken care of properly through proper political channels, law and order, truth and justice, the American way. If they're not going to do that, it will get nasty on the streets. They could kill the lights. They could kill the food. And that's why we're all preppers also. First and foremost, you've got to prep. You've got to understand what's going on and be prepared to be men and women of action in case Washington does fail, in case Trump cannot get things fixed. Because the left isn't slowing down. The illegal terrorists, the illegal alien invaders, the unlawful, unconstitutional, socialist, communist pieces of shit, they're not quitting and giving up. The pedophiles are not giving up. The military traitors, the treasonous military insiders are not giving up. They're not giving up. Certainly, the CIA is not giving up. All the evil in there, the evil in the FBI are not giving up. So we must not give up either. Anyways, Dan, thanks for the great super chat. Point well taken, understood, but you understand why I push, so that they know, yeah, we fucking support you guys. Make one big arrest, one, and you will hear a roar of support from the good people in the United States of America. Just one, even though I want hundreds arrested. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? It's Cottage Farm. We miss you, Cottage Farm. We're glad you're here. Woo woo. She says, yeah, what's up with Trump not bringing in General Flynn? I don't know for 100% sure. General Flynn spends a lot of time in Florida. I have yet to take the time to go run him down at a rally or meeting and meet the gentleman and try and figure it out. But what I can tell you, my educated guess is he feels, and Trump feels, he is more useful as a spokesman, as a commentator outside of government. Much like Matt Gaetz, right, was going to be the attorney general, and I think he'd have been a much better one than Pam Bondi. But he decided he would be more useful not being a member or participant in the government. Steve Bannon, is like General Flynn, is also a lightning rod for negative attention, accusations, and attacks. So my best guess is General Flynn is, and he is busy. He is the type of guy who should be on Fox News on a daily basis, sharing his perspective. But he makes the rounds on social media. I really would love to see him be part of, right? He would have been a great DNI, a great chairman, a great Secretary of Defense. We got Pete Hegseth, who is great, no doubt. But I think General Flynn could have fit in, but for some reason, he probably just said no. Or the plan could be to bring him in and rotate him in later. Perhaps Perhaps Trump is using him as a what we call in poker a hole card, right? He is backup. And that's the best I can think of, Cottage Farm, the best. I'd like to know the absolute truth, but that's the best I can think is he is backup. He's like a backup quarterback. He's like having Steve Young on your team while you still got Joe Montana, right? Two great quarterbacks on one team, at least for a little while they did. In any event, thank you, Cottage Farm. Great seeing you. And who's up next? Jolene. And we've got $5 PayPal from Steve. I don't have a last name, but I can guess, but I won't say the name because I don't know. Anyways, Steve says this in his super chat. He says, Europe, specifically the United Kingdom, is so far off its moral compass that I'm forced to believe that whoever is in charge already has contingency plans in place for their inevitable social meltdown. Thoughts? I believe Europe has been Islamified. Islam has been trying to invade Europe since the 1200s. Charlemagne stomped them and the Spaniards and Portuguese stomped them. Spain and Portugal were invaded by the Moors, who were Muslims, North Africans. And they made it into, I think, southern France over on the on the Mediterranean side, and that's where Charlemagne stuffed them. He was the king of France, and that worked. Then hundreds of years later, the Ottoman Empire, if you want to call them that, tried invading in the 1500s up through Transylvania. Vlad the Impaler stumped them there. They tried coming through Hungary and Romania, and they got stopped. They made it as far as, I believe, Vienna at one point, and got stumped again and kicked out. But now the political leaders, I prefer to think of them as fucking traitors to their culture, traditions, and nations, have invited in the dim-witted, low IQ, inbred, untrustworthy, unskilled, ignorant, uneducated, stupid pieces of shit from the worst countries of North Africa and the Middle East. And they are now taken over. And I believe their social meltdown, Steve, is inevitable. They do not have free speech to fight back. They do not have a Second Amendment to fight back. So if they have to fight, they'll be doing it with torches and pitchforks against torches and pitchforks. Literally. The crazy screwball jihad Joes of Europe have swords, even though the UK, the United Kingdom, now wants to make ninja swords illegal. I didn't know they had a ninja problem there. I do know they have a jihadist problem there. So yeah, the inevitable social meltdown can occur. Over there, they have terrorists, Antifa. BLM didn't really have a big impact in Europe, but they do have a presence there. They also have socialist weaklings, much like the Democrats here in America, who aren't willing to go burn, riot, and loot and murder, but they support it with their votes. Europe has that problem, folks. The UK definitely. The meltdown is coming. My thoughts on this? It's going to happen at some point. A serious stock market crash, false flag event, or a limited or full-scale nuclear war will make sure that inevitable social meltdown happens. and Europe would be fragmented into tribalism that would break down on a urban and rural level, meaning there'll end up being cities that are run by Islamic tribal organizations that will be at war forever with any European tribal organizations and areas that are Irish or Scottish, Welsh, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. You follow what I'm saying? Those are my thoughts on it. They would be doomed to that. Whereas in the United States of America, we have a First Amendment. And it's rock solid currently. And we have a Second Amendment that is as rock solid as ever, short of those areas within this country that think they can limit magazine capacity and armament style. But there is an attack on the First Amendment, and is being spearheaded by Israel right now, who doesn't want any anti-Semitism. I tell you what, anti-Semitism is not a crime when it comes to speech. If someone has a problem with the French, I'll talk shit about the French. I'll talk shit about the Russians. I'll talk shit about Moroccans or the Israelis or Egyptians or the Jordanese or the Syrian or whoever the fuck I want. That's called free speech. And you can't say, well, you can talk shit about anyone, but you can't talk shit about Israel or the Jews, right? Or the Semites, if you will. By the way, Palestinians have more Semitic DNA than most Israelis. They're not Israelites, they're Israelis. And not all Jews think of us as cattle and goyim, if you will. Not all Jews hate the rest of the world and want to destroy us. It's just the absolute scumbags at the World Economic Forum and the, shall we say, political intrigue that's behind the scenes. And every country wants that, folks, not just Israel. China, for example, controls a lot of American politics. How about if everyone in politics has to swear allegiance to the United States and the United States of America alone, and no dual citizenship allowed in any government position, local, state, or federal, or bureaucratic? If you're going to work for the federal government, you cannot have dual citizenship. And all political action committees, PACs, including APAC, have to register as foreign agents. In other words, they have to admit who they're working for and stated agenda, etc. I don't trust anyone, folks. If I can't trust Americans, Democrats, socialists, communists, etc., why should I trust anyone from any other country, including Sweden, Norway, Finland, Iceland, Germany, my genetic roots? I don't fucking trust them any further than I can kick them. I love the people. I don't trust the fucking government. So why should I trust the Israeli government? It's a dirty game they play, folks. Those are my thoughts. Let's move on if we shall. We got some more super chat thoughts out there. Yes, we do, along with super chat donation. Pow! $20 super chat donation from Boomer. Again, he says, hey, up until the mid-70s, that's the 1970s to Utes, it was made in USA and made in Canada all over the shelves. You bet. Made in China back then was almost laughed at because it was a piece of junk. Yeah, made in China, made in Taiwan. Oh, you bet. You bet. And even made in Japan. Made in Japan didn't get good until the 70s with electronics and automobiles. They made cheap cars. Before Nissan was Nissan, it was Datsun and Toyota. Those were the Japanese cars, and they were cheap. And then Honda came out. They were inexpensive and better. But it was. Folks, Windsor, Canada. Lots of Fords made up there. Lots of Canadian industry. It was made in Canada. And we were good with it because Canada back then wasn't a socialist communist country like it is now. Just like our country, they're trying to win it over to communism, socialism. Anyways, yeah, it was a piece of junk if it wasn't made in North America. And I love seeing the Made in America stickers. Now it's Heco on aux États-Unis, right? And it's like, I don't want Spanish or French or any other language on things on the shelf. The American language is English, right? But yeah, made in America doesn't mean parts made around the world and sent to America. It needs to be made in America, not just assembled in America. And I don't have a problem, folks, with trading partners who are good. I believe right now the American diplomats are talking to the president of Mexico, Mrs. Scheinbaum. Does that sound like Rodriguez or Hernandez? It doesn't sound very, very Mexican, does it? Scheinbaum. Might as well be Scheinbaum Steenberger. Anyways, she is being told, you're not really doing a good job with keeping the drugs out of our country. We're going to need you to step it up a little more. And that'd be great. Thanks. Anyways, thank you, Boomer. Yeah, I love buying American. I love driving my Ford. I've always had Fords. I had an AMC, lots of Fords in high school. Yeah, I love it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I've always had Ford trucks, Ford cars, Ford vehicles. Have I owned foreign vehicles? Yes, I have. In my life, I have. I enjoyed them. They're great. But I'd rather buy American. I'd rather buy American. Let's move on, if we shall. Thank you, Boomer. Always Boomer for the great support. And now it's Big Dan back with his fourth super chat of the night. $5. He says, Trump is still 100% better than what Harris would have done to the country. Oh, fucking A, Dan. No doubt. No doubt. Like I said, I will criticize anybody. I will give constructive criticism. I will give ideas and support. And like I said, when I write, call, and text them, it is to support them. And if I'm not happy with them, I want to let them know. But Trump is a fucking amazing. And 100% is all we can legitimately, literally give. There's no way. There's nothing Trump could have said in the election that could have made him worse than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. Right? And it's beautiful and wonderful that we finally have a president that I can say, wow, he's the lesser of two evils. I just look at the administration, those under him, who are full of double-dealing, backstabbing fucking snakes. Laura Loomer, I don't trust her. But she has come out and assisted Trump and the administration in finding the dirty, double-dealing rats in his administration and getting him fired. What I don't understand is why the chief of staff hasn't done that. She's supposed to be an ass kicker, but why hasn't she done that? Right? The scumbags in the intelligence services that Laura Loomer outed. Other diversity, equity, and inclusion, fruitcake, trans people in the DOD, Department of Defense, the Pentagon, and other bureaucracies. Why aren't they gone? Right? That's why, I'm not Laura Loomer. I'm not up in Washington, D.C., right? I don't have the opportunity and ability, nor could I ever go to D.C. I think I'd be arrested on sight. But she is encouraging them by exposing the people, just like our good friend who used to be Project Veritas, right? But he's still out there, James O'Keefe, exposing. And when they expose, when they name the names, it puts pressure on those in charge to do something about it. So that's why I, Dan, want to put pressure on everybody, especially Pam Bondi. I want to embarrass her. I want to call her out. Same with Cash Patel. If anyone's paying attention on X, I'm all over Cash Patel and Dan Bongino. Hey, you want to fucking talk tough? Then take the fucking gloves off and go after the bad guys. I understand you need to get your paperwork in order. Then get it in fucking order. Right? Why does Trump have to fire these people when others should be firing them? In the State Department, clean it out. In the FBI, clean it out. In the IRS, clean it out. The ATF, clean it the fuck out. By the way, Cash Patel allegedly, supposedly, promoted the jackass, asshole, anti-American, piece of shit, treasonous guy that went after the J6 protesters and arrested them all. But I also saw that that was misinformation. Gateway Pundit said that was misinformation. But then I saw it all day today, not just Saturday, but then today also. That, oh, no, he promoted this guy. What the hell? So I don't know what is true and what isn't. I think Cash Patel should come out and make it very clear. Yeah, I promoted this guy, and here's the reasons why. Or no, I didn't promote that guy, but I think he should be fucking fired for leading the charge and arresting innocent Americans who did no wrong except to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police, Nancy Pelosi, and every scumbag in the FBI that participated in that bullshit attack on Americans and then calling it an insurrection in order to frame Trump or try to frame Trump as an insurrectionist so they could lock him up. And other countries are failing at locking up their opposition leaders. They tried doing it to Marine Le Pen, who now is stronger than ever, just like Trump. Remember that shit, Dan? When they arrested Trump and they got that mugshot, his popularity went up. Every time they attacked Trump, his popularity went up. Raid Mar-a-Lago, his popularity went up. Lie about him, popularity went up. Marine Le Pen of France looks like she can beat Macron. Emmanuel Macron, who married his fucking uncle. His groomer, who was in his 40s when he was a teen. Doesn't look like a woman to me. Anyways, that piece of shit who's a traitor to his country, France, looks like they just might finally get it out. They're cheating like motherfuckers in France and other countries in their elections as well, folks. In fact, in Romania, who wants to be like Hungary with Viktor Orban, they're like, no. You can't have the guy you want to elect. The AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, which is basically their make Germany great again party. They're about to become the majority or most popular political party in the country. And it's looking like the European Union is going to try and interfere with those elections and that power struggle between the people and the bureaucracy and political class. In America, Dan, Trump is the man of the people. We want the problems fixed. We want to make America great again. We want to make America healthy again. And by the way, I still don't know what's going on with RFK Jr. Are you a stooge for Israel? Trying to make anti-Semitism or Semitism a health issue? Really? We've got bad medicine, as in prescription drugs. We've got bad medicine, as in the Jim Jones use for adults, for infants. The entire autism creating system they have for children needs to be stopped. Not to mention the poisons in our food, the poisons in our water, like fluoride, the poisons they're putting in the air. And by the way, today in Florida, it was a beautiful day. I saw jets flying, folks, left and right, north and south, east and west. You know what I didn't see? Not a single condensation trail, nor chemtrail. The skies were blue all day. the governor of Florida is looking into and trying to get it eradicated. It is because it is heavy metals, which are toxic, and biological agents, most of which are unknown, that are being dropped on us. And there is a serious problem in this country in areas where they're doing this with fatigue, making people tired, weak, and sick. I think that it's a backup plan to the Jim Jones juice. They're trying to put it in our food supply. Hey, RFK, fix the problems in front of you. Leave free speech alone. All right. Thank you, Dan. You demand. And Jolene, who's up next? We're at, holy crap, got less than 5 minutes, but as long as there's super chat questions, I will stay right here talking with you guys. And it is E-Trike Northern Pike with a $10 super chat donation. He says, John, what do you think about harnessing conscious thought of 91, 10, 11? It would be wonderful. Hey, for all of us. Reciprocate this Psalms. Courage, bless you, John, this day. Thank you very much, E-Trike Northern Pike. I'm going to go with this. I love philosophy. I love political thought, secular. I also love philosophy and spiritual thought. I am, first and foremost, a believer in God Almighty, and my faith is through Christianity. I am also a Marine, and so I'm a little rough around the edges. I always have been, but that's who I am. And I think that God would judge whoever's judging my heart based on my heart and not my sin, right? This is not a religious show. It is not a dogmatic show. It is a show about secular facts, but we do border and touch on things religious. For example, there is no room in this world for Satanism, except for Satanism to dominate, because it is about death and destruction of the human soul, human kindness, and life. It sacrifices and kills and destroys. There is no room in my world for Islam, because those, when they have a majority power, it turns very negative, grossly so, and destructive. The same way Puritanism became destructive. The same way secular Puritanism, Puritanicalism became destructive of people's rights. The same way the Catholic Church during the Inquisition, or those centuries and decades and times when they went and attacked and killed everyone. I don't like abuse of authority and use of a philosophy to destroy those who want freedom and personal liberty. So I appreciate Christians who are on the channel, but it is not a John 3:16. I'm not going to recite biblical passages, but I do. I am a Christian man. That's my personal thing. What I share here is political and secular philosophy that is based off of an understanding and belief that, right, nobody's perfect, but you don't attack and kill people because you don't agree with their faith. At the same time, when war is declared, I have a right and a duty to stand up for what is right, correct, and both spiritual and philosophically accurate and correct, right? It's a very complicated thing. It is, and I admit it. How do you say you're a Christian and then talk about defeating and destroying the enemy? Because if I don't, the enemy destroys and kills us and rapes our wives and children and steals our property and our nations. So we have a right to defend ourselves, yes. So on that hand, I am a warrior, if you will. But philosophically, I'm a warrior also. Anyways, it is an interesting topic. And so I apologize to everyone who wants to turn this into a religious channel, but it's not. I'm not an evangelist. No, I'm not on a mission, if you will. Right? That's not my job. That's not my purpose. It's not my point. My point is to get people prepared and to understand the world that they live in, that they're surrounded by. And I promote the ideas that are in the Constitution because everything else should be a free choice idea and concept. Except I don't believe that Satanism and any philosophy like communism, which is atheist, or religion that wants to kill others and call it peace. I don't agree with that, and it should not be allowed, right? In any event, great topic. I appreciate it, and it's going to be limited in scope. Who is next? We've gone over the 2-hour mark, and it is Dan the Man. He is back, and it is time for a scotch, because any $50 super chat donation buys me one of these, and it goes a long way, Mr. Dan, also in supporting everything we do on this channel, not only buying more scotch, but also making sure we have enough, shall we say, capital to keep doing the show and support the things that we do, the subscriptions and technical things that we have to pay for. Even the broadcast studio itself costs more money than people might imagine. And internet access where I'm at is very expensive. And here we go, Dan. Down the hatch. Semper Fi. God bless America. Just like mother's milk. So Dan says, when John needs a scotch, here it is. He says, look forward to the show on Sundays. This is my favorite show of the week. It does end up taking my entire Sunday. Sometimes I get out a little bit for fun and sun. As you can see, I've got the raccoon eyes a little bit. But Sunday is my favorite show because I get to talk to so many of you at once. And we're continuing to stay at 460 people live. Incredible, even after 2 hours. So Dan says, unfortunately, you start too early East Coast time, still at work or would be live. You're missing out on a lot of West Coast patriots. Dan, I got that from Chin Music today earlier as well. I need to consult with the R Syndicate, but if I were to start the show an hour later, which would be 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which would make it 4 o'clock West Coast time, would we get more West Coast patriots? Would it be too late for East Coast? I don't think so. So perhaps we should put it to a vote. What do you think, Uman? Start at 7 p.m.? He's giving it a thumbs down. Uh-oh. So much for having a secret ballot. Well, I'll have to give it some more thought, do some more talking, but I understand. I've looked at population density. If I start later, I lose Europe. It's already midnight and beyond. We used to have a lot of midnight attendees and 1 o'clock or 1 a.m. attendees out of Germany and Ireland and Scotland and England and France. But the West Coast, and it's funny being on the East Coast now here in Florida, the population of the United States of America is much more heavily on the East Coast, east of the Mississippi specifically. But I know that the West Coast is important. And trust me, I really believe it always is and has been a big part of the United States of America. I was born on the West Coast, born in California, raised in California, lived in California, with the exception of my Marine Corps stint. That's all I got to say about that. I would like to start an hour later. I really would. It puts the show later to 9 o'clock. So I would literally jump out of the studio and go fall in the rack in the bunker and just pass out, because Monday through Friday, I'm up at zero dark and working my ass off just like you guys do. I appreciate, admire, and love all of you for all the support and the hard work and the effort you put in just to be here. I don't take you guys for granted, not one iota. Not one iota. I don't. And by the way, we haven't heard from Carlos Granados down in Mexico. Haven't heard from our good friends down in Argentina in some time. So if you're there, and I'm just not seeing it because I can't monitor the comments. And now I'm Scotch rambling. Thanks again, Dan the Man. Great support, great show, and I think we got some more. Do we have more super chats? And there it is. The answer is yes. It is Chin Music with a $9.99 super chat donation. And he says, Brandon Tatum KO'd, that means knocked out, a lefty noodle at a Turning Point USA, TP USA event at UC Davis while the cops just watched. They didn't react to the vandal only. They didn't react to the vandal, only to Tatum. Let's defund UC Davis. Okay, number one, Brandon Tatum knocked out a shit stain, Antifa, left-wing, vandal, thieving piece of shit. And the cops just watched. They didn't react to the vandal. They did react to Tatum. Okay, UC Davis and the UC Davis Police Department are a bunch of left-wing dipshits and assholes. I've been to UC Davis on multiple times from 6th grade when I went there for a special education, shall we say. I'm almost embarrassed to say it was for poetry. And then I went there again in high school, and then again as an adult to attend a brewmaster course with the premier United States of America brewmaster, literally PhD program there. I don't have a PhD in brewing, but brewing sciences, but it could be just a fantastic school. But instead, it's a complete left-wing lunatic shit. Trump is, I believe, defunding universities. They all need to be absolutely 100% not funded with federal tax dollars. Universities are out of their fucking mind expensive already, and they get billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars, folks, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, each of them. Secondary or university education should be funded by those attending and giving students government loans, and then the government funding these universities so they can pay their deans and assistant deans and their administrators. And by the way, the administration or bureaucracy of universities outnumber their worthless fucking professors and assistant professors, but they all get 6 figures and 7 figures for being worthless pieces of communist indoctrinating shit. I would like them all defunded. There's way too many universities in this country. We need trade schools. We need trade schools. And we need our students to attend trade school. There's only one CEO per every corporation. But we need dozens of hardworking, streetwise, right, intelligent people within those companies. We don't need a bunch of bureaucrats sitting in desks collecting 6 and 7 figures at every school, every university. In any event, thank you, Mr. Chin. And I'm glad that someone knocked out one of those fucking punks. It's one of my favorite things is to see these left-wing punks get knocked out, get dragged out of the street by their collar or their fucking scruff or their hair, and thrown off to the side like trash. I can't stand these left-wing scumbags because they are a bunch of godless communist fucks. They're also criminal burners, that's arson, looters, which is a felony that used to be punishable by instantaneous death, and then burn, loot, and murder. That's what these people are. All they need to do is be turned loose by their government, state and federal, and they'll start doing it again, folks. Got to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and yes, that. Jolene, who's up next? And I sent you a text message. I'm sorry, a signal message. And Frank Rizzo checks in. Frank, good to hear from you, man. $9.99 super chat donation. And he says, thank you and make America great again for saving me from the Jim Jones juice. And you can read the letters right there. Jim Jones juice means that right there, that Jim Jones juice, which has very, very dangerous and bad ingredients. And I mean very bad, including cancer cells, DNA from monkeys, snakes, spiders. What the fuck? Heavy metals like mercury and aluminum. What the fuck is that going to do for us? Not to mention genetic material that is designed to change your genetic makeup directly, as well as other bio crap. Thank you, Frank, for supporting the channel, and everyone for supporting the channel and fighting back against the Jim Jones juice, Cerveza bug, the bureaucracy, these anti-American scumbags. Thank you for writing, texting, calling, emailing these people and making sure to put that pressure on them. We're not joking. And if we don't fix America now, we're going to end up worse than Europe with these foreign fucks and the white people willing to allow the destruction of their own race, their own culture, their own tradition, their own nations by inviting in these scumbags. I don't mind other races. I don't mind other cultures. But if that's what you want, go to places where there's Sharia law. Go to places that have your religion that you think is better. Right? America is America. I'm going to leave it at that. Jolene says, we got another super chat donation. Where is it? Who is it? What's up? Good golly, it's Cottage Farm back with a $50 super chat. And she says, happy Sunday, everyone. Everyone drinks on me. And good golly, this will be a send me away. Thank you, Cottage Farm. Because that's another scotch right there. Another 15 years single malt. And I'm going to end the show with a partially inebriated, not safe to drive, so I won't drink. Thank you, Cottage Farm, for all you have done for this show over the years. Just like everyone else, like John N., you know who you are. Dr. John, you know who you are. John M., you know who you are. And I got your email, by the way. Not to mention, Frank and and Bonnie Blue and everyone else, because I can't remember everyone. Ron, right? Mike. I'm just going to stop there. Big Dan, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for all you've done. Robin and fuck, I can't remember everyone. I've had too many scotches. And this one's definitely going to end it for me. So here we are. Semper Fi, God bless America. Down the hatch. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, Cottage Farm. And Cottage Farm, then Jolene says one more what? One more question, one more thought, one more idea. And Blue Cord Devil, I left him out, so he had to come in. He goes, I second the Cottage Farm movement. And I got to be careful. Keep Nikki away from the super chat button, please. I haven't heard from Nikki in a little bit. But thank you, Blue Cord Devil. I hope all is well, man. I hope that you are well, health-wise, spiritually, psychologically, philosophically. You are all in good shape, in good hands. And I'm going to feel this one like a mofo if I don't fight. Here's to you, Blue Core Devil. Semper Fi to you again. Thank you for coming to Sunday Night Live, The Zoo, on the preparedmind.club, Subscribestar, YouTube, X, and Facebook. Thank you all. And, of course, we'll have others checking in. Thank you, sir. And I could Bobo. I'm in trouble. Oh, woo! I tell you, those combined with the sun I got, maybe a little dehydration, starting to get a little fuzzy between the ears, if you know what I'm saying to you. Anyways, thank you, everyone. We did well today. We went long, not too long, but long enough. Chance favors the prepared mind. Please be prepared, folks, in all seriousness. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine can get you through hard times. A means of self-defense can save your life and the lives of those around you. Having a plan. None of these other things work without understanding the world around you and then the greater world, which we discuss every day. And I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel, the mission, the philosophy, the agenda of freedom, liberty, for everyone on the planet, that America should serve as the example. And I would love for another country to compete with us and be more free. I'd love that. I want everyone to be able to live a good life. Everyone. Providing they're decent, honest, moral people, of course. Everyone else can go to jail or go to hell. In any event, folks, always faithful. That's the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fi. But for all patriots, all Americans, all peoples who love freedom, liberty, God bless you. And I'll see you all 0 dark 30 tomorrow.